And welcome into the High Noon Rant. That's right, today it is called the High Noon Rant because although it was called the High Noon Rant for like 2.5 years, we changed the name because I felt like, one, I was tired of people going, what is this, a show for stoners? No, it is not. It's current events driven, hot topics, stream of consciousness rant that airs every day around this time. So that was the first reason why I stopped calling it the High Noon Rant. The second was obvious. I just wasn't starting the show at high noon. Today, I did. We're still calling it the Rant, though. Right at the start, 12 o'clock. Look at us. What's 1 minute? I've been on 1 minute. It's 12:01. That's pretty good. Now, you might be wondering, Pugs, why are you doing this? Why so punctual today? Because I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here at usually we go till about 2 o'clock. Oftentimes a little bit past that. Today we're gonna have to bring it right up to about 1:45, and I'm gonna have to pull the cord. Look at my people. Here they are. Now they're showing up. We got Taronda. We got Cameron. We got Byron. We got Schmee. Come on, everybody, get in the chat room. Is the chat room right? Hold on. Let me make sure I got it merged properly. Okay. How was your weekend? Man, we're gonna talk some Olympics. I know that I promised you when I left on Friday that I was not going to probably pay attention to these Olympics at all. But boy, that changed. Be careful what you say publicly because your reality might change. Now I look like an idiot. All right, first things first. I am doing my here's what I've decided. I've chosen the energy drink. I said last week I've been sampling different energy drinks and rehydration drinks. And this is simple because I grew up, there was Lipton iced tea, there was lemonade, and there was soda pop. That was pretty much it. Now there's all kinds of things. My kid basically exists on rehydration drinks and energy drinks in the morning only. Coffee, getting ready for coffee. So here I've been tried. This is the one I settled on as far as what did I settle on with the rehydration? I don't have one with me today. It's the one that Pepsi makes. It's not Gatorade. It's not Body Armor. It's I don't know, colon fuel. I don't know what it's called. Whatever. But I don't have that today anyway. But I do have another one of these energy drinks. This is Code Mix. I tried it on Friday. I think I tried it on Thursday, maybe. Whatever. It was good, and I bought it, and now I'm buying it again. There you go. Code Mix. I've settled on it. Oh, here's why I like it best. Because it reminds me of the way Red Bull originally tasted. Red Bull is monkeyed with their flavor. This tastes like 1996 Red Bull to me, which I like, which is good. Although I will say this, the packaging, get it on camera, the packaging of this Code Mix, which is delicious. It really is good. I tried a whole bunch of them. This is the one I settled on. The packaging in this, not great. Man, I would change the packaging. It looks like a drink mixer. If I'm a bartender, it looks like something that's going to have alcohol in it. But maybe that's the goal. I don't know. I'm not in these meetings, but I do enjoy it. So there you go. I don't even think there's a flavor on this, if I'm being honest. Sugar. Sugar is the flavor. Yeah. Thank you, Byron. It's Powerade. The monolithic Pepsi counter to Gatorade, which is interesting because Pepsi in and of itself is the counter to Coke. So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they counter Gatorade with Powerade? I like Powerade. It's good. All right. What else do we have to do here? Tip the show. That's right. We got that there. If you want to support this show, please do help us out. It's the end of the month. We're in trouble as we always are. So we're going to have to do a pledge drive, a hard one this week. So I don't have the numbers or anything like that because it's all too depressing. But hey, we're going to keep tragging along. Is that a thing? All right. I really can't stop drinking that stuff. It just tastes so good. Oh, and that's not bad too. That's like a Diet Sprite that I got there. Diet Sprite with that. That's actually really good. Hold on. Maybe it is intended to be like an alcohol mixer. I don't know. Oh, that's freaking baller. That's really good. That's crazy good. All right, whatever. There you go. Peter says, hi, guys. Didn't know it was noon. Yeah, I started early. I started early today. Jen is here. Hi, Jen. Hi, Adam. Who else do we have? We got Peter. All right, people are filling in. I like this. As I said, we're going to get out of here a little bit early today. We're looking at 1:45. Later this week, I might have a very big announcement. An announcement that's going to make some people really happy, and an announcement that's going to make some people who've been maybe with us for the last 2.5 years go, is this going to be different? Because I don't know if I like different, but hopefully you'll like it. So stay tuned for that. April says, wow, starting on time. I know. Got a lot to talk about. So let's get started. It is the rant for July the 29th. July the 29th is the 211th day of the year. 155 more of these remain until the end of the year, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. Hi, Kev. Kev's here. We do the show in 4 quarters, the first of which we call Antecedently on This Day. This is a look back on history, or, as I like to say, previously on July the 29th, 1848. Now, this is not, is it Black 47? Yeah, Black 47, but this is in 1848. What's Black 47? Black 47 is 1847. It's the year of the Great Irish Potato Famine, which it's not just 1847. That occurred for a whole bunch of years, but 1847 was the year where we had 1 million deaths and over 25% of the population of Ireland moved somewhere else. But it was on this day in 1848, during the Great Famine of Ireland, the Tipperary Revolt occurred. This was a mass riot where the starving people of Ireland just decided, you know what, we're just going to start killing anybody who has food. And they went and they attacked the British in Tipperary, and they attacked the landowners and the middlemen. Oh my God, the Great Potato Irish Famine. I could talk for hours about it. I've given lectures to my son about the Great Potato Irish Famine. You know, it wasn't about potatoes. It wasn't just potatoes. Here's the problem, though, because the Irish were being colonized and all the land was royal land. The English, they decided that they were going to be a single crop in Ireland, that Ireland was just going to be where they grew potatoes. They could have grown other things. They could have done all sorts of stuff. And then should one crop fail, the entire island wouldn't have starved. But, you know, England wasn't thinking about the welfare of the Irish people. So there was a European potato blight that killed off all the potatoes in Europe. And so when Ireland only had potatoes, they were all starving. Why? Why didn't they eat the fish? They were on an island. Why didn't they eat the fish? Oh, stupid. Come on, read your history. Because they weren't allowed to keep the fish that were in the waters because that was royal fish. All the fish that were caught in the waters of Ireland at that time were exported immediately back to England to feed people there. And there was no grazing, so there were no goats and sheep and all that. I mean, there were some, but because the English decided that you could only grow potatoes, a lot of land that was used for grazing over the centuries had now turned into just dead potato crops. People were starved. The button is stuck. Hold on. Hold on. All right. All right. All right, there you go. We're back. Sorry about that. This machine, the box that we use to run everything, just froze up, and all of a sudden, it was stuck out. Let me make sure. Okay, all right. Let's see all the other things. The microphones are working. There we go. All right, let me apologize. Great potato famine. That's what happened on this day. Oh, hold on. Let's see here. Adam says, I've had 2 full sugar sodas in the last month, and previous to that, I was at like 1 in 6 months. Well, hey, that's good for you. I've had no sugar sodas in like 10 years. I don't know. I switched. When was the zero concept introduced into the diet soda world? Because as soon as the zero concept took over, I was pretty much only into zero stuff. So however long that's been. But yeah, this is and I don't drink sugar in anything. I have very sensitive heartburn issues. So too much sugar causes me to have bad tummy problems. But yeah, this is full sugar. This is whatever this is that I'm drinking. Code Mix. All right, this is pure sugar. It's delicious, though. Fix my mic. What's wrong with my mic? Microphone not working. Really? Well, it says it's working. Huh. Isn't that fun? Don't really know what to do. Motherfucker. Yeah, I'm pissed. All right. So here's what we're going to do. One, two, three, four. See this? It says it's working. It says it's working. It's attached to the Zoom microphone. Is it still? So you're hearing the echo? Yeah, because you're getting me. All right. Here's what I need to do. Let's try it this way. Hold on. All right. How about now? Is it better now? Yeah, A&W Zero root beer is pretty good, Smee. That's a good call. That's what I just did, April, but I realize now I'm answering you from 30 seconds ago, so apologize. So now I need to know, does it sound the same? I will wait to hear if this sounds the same. If not, we're just going to reboot. We're just going to start again. Whatever happened with this box when it got stuck on the applause, it seems to have done something. Way better. All right, that's what I was looking for. Working. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Antecedently on this day, in the year 1862, the American Civil War, Confederate spy Belle Boyd is arrested by Union troops and detained at the old Capitol Prison in Washington, D.C. Do you know the story of this chick, Belle Boyd? She was ugly, never been a movie. Well, probably because she was a secessionist and a Confederate. That's why there's no movie about her. But it's an interesting story. She was the daughter of an innkeeper in Virginia. And as the war progressed, her inn went from housing Confederate soldiers to Union soldiers. And she would eavesdrop. And she was a spy. Belle Boyd. We don't know her. Where's her statue so we can tear them down, right? Antecedently on this day in 1901, the land lottery begins in Oklahoma. Is that the Tom Cruise movie? Is that the Tom Cruise movie where everybody just got in a giant line across Oklahoma and then they blew a whistle or shot a gun, I'm guessing, and they all ran and they said, this is my land now. Is that what that was? That was, oh, look at America. They're giving away free land, free garbage land. You ever driven through Oklahoma? Look, Oklahoma, I guess it's kind of more nuanced than I like to present it. There are some. I have been to places in Oklahoma where I was standing is an incredibly beautiful place. Okay, but I would say the other 99.9% of Oklahoma is an ashtray. It is gross. It is just like. So what happens out here? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, what grows? Nothing. What? That's why we gave it to the natives. They're like, hey, you can have all our shit land. That's basically what Oklahoma is. Anyway, if you're from there, God bless. You got a couple of spots. I've been to a couple of spots that are nice. But it's an ashtray if you ever have to. I don't drive through Oklahoma anymore when I would drive from Texas to the Midwest. I used to go right up through Oklahoma and then right across Missouri, but the wait for Missouri and Arkansas was just too brutal. And what I mean by wait is you got to go through like nonsense through Oklahoma for like, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of miles where you're literally just driving across an ashtray. I'm like a flea on a big old 1970s coffee table ashtray. That's what Oklahoma is. I'm just making my way across it. And I used to like to hang that right there at Missouri, right there where the Will Rogers Turnpike starts. I used to like to hang that right. And then you go right through Arkansas and Missouri, and that's how you get into the Midwest. Arkansas and Missouri, gorgeous, gorgeous states. Those are states you want to drive through. Oklahoma, not so much. We're still talking about caffeine in the chat room. Apparently that's a hot topic. Caffeine. Antecedently on this day in 1957, Jack Paar premieres on NBC, with Jack Paar becoming the standard for the modern talk show. Jack Paar is an interesting guy, and I don't know that we know enough about him. Jack Paar is, okay, so who was Jack Paar? Jack Paar was the second host of NBC's Tonight Show. The first host of NBC's Tonight Show was Steve Allen. Steve Allen made it popular. Steve Allen hosted a nighttime show on NBC at 10:30 after the local news. It was called Tonight, and it was a interview show, although not exactly what we now consider a talk show. Steve Allen did some strange things. Steve Allen was very popular, and he looked around and he went, TV? This isn't anything. This is like people who bailed on YouTube, right, after their first 2 million subscribers and were like, this will never catch on, like old people. I don't know if anybody did that, but that would be what it was like. Steve Allen looked at TV and went, well, this is going to hurt my radio career. You know, I mean, that's how he was thinking. So he left the Tonight Show in a lurch. He just went, yeah, I'm going to go do something else. This TV thing may never catch on. Jack Paar slides in. Jack Paar is the second host of the Tonight Show. What we considered to be the modern talk show is what Jack Paar did. The desk, the couch, the interviews, the monologue, you know, even down to like his whole persona. He wasn't one of these Hollywood or New York guys. Jack Paar came off as this Midwestern aw shucks guy. Certainly the reason Johnny Carson got his job was because they said, when Jack Paar left, they said Johnny Carson is kind of a Jack Paar, and that's what they wanted. Paar walked away from doing this show for principled reasons. He was a guy who had principles. Jack Paar walked away. He was the biggest TV star in America. All your grandparents and great-grandparents probably tell you how amazing Jack Paar was doing a talk show. He walked away from it because he got sick and tired of the censors. He walked off his show famously. So there was a show on a Monday night that came on, and there was a joke in there that got cut by the censors. Jack Paar found out about it after that show. The next show on Tuesday, Jack Paar takes the stage and begins his show and goes, hey, before we get started on tonight's show, last night the censors cut a joke that I disagreed with. So in protest, I'm not doing the show tonight. And he just walked off. Just in the middle of live TV, he said, I'm not doing the show tonight because you guys screwed with my show last night. He did that time and time again. He was always fighting with the sponsors, or not the sponsors, but the censors. But he was super powerful. So NBC would always eventually cave. At some point, he got tired of the nonsense and he went and bought a TV station in Maine in like 1967, 68. And he just stayed there. He would intermittently do some things in the 70s, but then he basically just dropped out of the spotlight. He didn't want it. He got away. Jack Paar, principled guy, had some issues with homosexuality, didn't like homos, was pretty vocal about that in the 70s. Or 60s, I should say, 50s and 60s. Didn't like communists in the 50s, didn't like fairies in the 60s, 50s and 60s. But, you know, a man of his time. Other than that, he seemed like a great person. Jack Paar, he had principles, at least in so far as, you know, his show. But can't be taken away. He didn't like gays. He didn't like gays and he didn't like communists. But I challenge you, who did in 1964? Who liked gays and communists? People can change. Let's see here. That was on this day in 1957. Jack Paar starts as the host of the Tonight Show. On this day in 1958, U.S. President Dwight David Eisenhower signs into law the National Aeronautics and Space Act. It's the birth of NASA. Happy birthday, NASA. On this day in 1958. Let's see here. On this day in 1976 in New York City, the very first of the David Berkowitz killings, thus kicking off the Summer of Sam. David Berkowitz, he was the son of Sam killer in New York. Summer of 1977, is that when this was? Oh, 1976. Hey, maybe I should pay attention to my own notes. Well, there's been a bunch of movies and documentaries about David Berkowitz. This is a really horrifying one. David Berkowitz was a mailman who lived alone in an apartment in Yonkers, New York. And next door, there was this dog that would bark all night long. Now, David Berkowitz was a lunatic, okay? And he started to believe that the dog that was barking in the yard next door to him was the devil incarnate, and it was instructing him on things to do. And one of those things was go out and kill women. So David Berkowitz would go out in the middle of the night. He would drive from Yonkers into New York City, and he would basically kill people at first, just lovers necking in cars, you know, in secluded areas. Then it was just people just walking down the street. He would just kill them. He wrote letters famously to Jimmy Breslin, a New York Post columnist, I think Breslin was, maybe Daily News, I don't know. Famously wrote letters back and forth and had open published correspondence with Jimmy Breslin. They caught him. They caught him because of a parking ticket that he had. One of the murders, I mean, they were really, the whole city was paralyzed. New York City, people weren't going out. Women were dyeing their hair because it seemed like he was only killing women with dark hair or blonde hair or something. I don't even know what it was. Bunch of good movies. Spike Lee, didn't Spike Lee make a really good one? Summer of Sam, starring Adrian Brody. Anyway, David Berkowitz, one of the creepiest of all of the serial killers. Antecedently on this day in was he caught today or the first murder? No, today was the anniversary of the first murder, as I say, kicking off the Summer of Sam in New York City. Antecedently on this day in 1981, a worldwide television audience of around 750 million people watched the wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana. I was one of them. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was 12 years old. What was I, gay? What was I, 12 years old in the 1980s? I'm waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to watch the royal wedding. I'm a 12-year-old boy. Why was I interested in that? Well, I don't know, but I remember waking up, pulling the chair in front of the TV, and just being completely mesmerized by the whole spectacle of this royal wedding. I think it's wasn't Charles' full name? I, Philip Charles Arthur Pole. I think I remember I was stuck by his name, by his full name. I, Philip Charles Arthur Pole. I think that's it. Anyway. I think I had a bit of a crush on Diana. I think I thought she was kind of hot. But now every time I look back at her, like I'm like, was she that hot? Was Diana that hot? What was I thinking? Was I just being programmed to believe that she was like super hot? Because I don't know. I mean, it's not like there weren't other hot chicks back then to compare her to. I mean, there's Bo Derek. You put Bo Derek right next to Lady Di, and I'll tell you which one I think is hotter. But standing alone, it's like, Diana's hot. Even to the point that they cast somebody who was exceptionally hot to play her in The Crown. Elizabeth Debicki, the British actress. She was a better Lady Di than the actual Lady Di. All right, anyway, it was on this day in 1981, the wedding of Charles and Di. Antecedently on this day in 1996, the child protection portion of the Communications Decency Act is struck down by a U.S. federal court as being too broad. This was a huge day. I don't know that we knew it necessarily at the time, but now you can look back on the history. All right, so I used to thrive in a format of talk radio called, which was derisively called shock talk, right? Howard Stern was a very big, in Chicago had shock jocks. Every city had shock jocks, right? People who, I guess in its most reductive form, could be described as people just doing tits and fart jokes and all that. That's incredibly reductive. But what it was, what I saw and what my partner Kelly saw as this demonized format as of shock talk, as being real talk, just people being real people. All of the performative bullshit of I am a serious person and I am on the radio and I do not have a sense of humor or anything like that. Those were all the things in talk radio and in communication radio that format rebelled against. In more positive terms, lifestyle talk, right? Young talk. It was even called FM talk. But, truly, I think it resonates most when you say shock talk. It was on this day in 1996 that shock talk was essentially born. Shock talkers, or lifestyle talkers, as I prefer to be known, lifestyle talkers had been fined by the FCC for years at this point. Every couple of months, they'd be like, what do you mean I can't say dick on the radio, or something like that, right? It was on this day, and the argument was always, we've got to protect the airwaves from children who may be listening, right? Well, children shouldn't be listening. Parents should obviously have more control over what their children listen to. But if you're going to say, well, I can't control what my child hears on the radio well, you also can't control what your child hears at the 7-Eleven, right? You can't control what your child hears just walking down the street from construction workers. You can't. This was always my argument against this. Warning's fine. You want us to say this program is rated whatever, parental discretion, but that's okay. I can understand that if people really want that. But anyway, it was on this day in 1996 that a federal judge said that all of those other actions by the FCC against lifestyle or shock talkers was no longer invalid because the description that it's to protect children was far too vague. A massive victory. This, of course, caused the explosion of shock talkers across America. Every market in the country now had, here we had Russ Martin, and every other, and there's probably any number of people competing with him for that. And it was on this day in 1996 that started. I can tell you when it ended. I can tell you, we can bookend the history of permissive lifestyle talk radio in this country. It began on this day in 1996 with a federal judge saying that the FCC's description of child protection is too vague, began on this day, and ended when Justin Timberlake pulled down Janet Jackson's top at the Super Bowl. That's when it ended. I'm telling you, there's probably no other era in America that you can so definitively define a beginning and an ending. All started on this day in 1996. Antecedently on this day in 2015, the first piece of suspected debris from the Malaysian airline Flight 370 is discovered on Reunion Island. You like me, did we lose? I was way into that missing Malaysian airplane for like weeks. It felt forever. Remember when CNN had the dude in the submarine? CNN literally had a dude that was in a submarine for weeks. And I don't know what that was about. Like, you can't see anything out these windows. Why is he in? He's not looking for anything. He doesn't know what he's doing down there. He's just taking up space in the submarine for another person. Forgot who that guy was. Who was it? Was it the airlines guy that CNN used to use? CNN used to use an airlines guy. Miles O'Brien was his name. He's only got one arm. I don't know if you know this about Miles O'Brien. Was he the guy they put in there? Or was it the old guy? There's like an older guy at CNN that they make do all the shitty stuff. I don't know. I don't remember. Was it Martin Balls? Was it Martin? I don't know. Martin something. Anyway, they found the first piece. And they were like, oh, it must have crashed. Really, you think? What were you holding out for, alien or Bigfoot abductions? What did you think happened to it? Obviously, it crashed in the ocean. You just haven't found it yet, stupid. Let's do birthdays. Quarter 2 of this here show. As I say, the show is in 4 quarters. The first one, antecedently on this day. The second one, birthdays. These are people celebrating a birthday on this day. Let's decide if they're cool or not. Born on this day in 1883. Definitely not cool. Benito El Duce Mussolini. Italian fascist, journalist, revolutionary, friend of Hitler. Mussolini, born on this day in 1833. Born on this day in 1938, Peter Jennings. ABC News Peter Jennings. I don't know that I appreciated Peter Jennings to the degree that I should have growing up. But now I look at the way news is and I'm like, yeah, Peter Jennings. Peter Jennings was all like, I didn't know how Peter Jennings voted. Peter Jennings wasn't like, Biden's son. That wasn't Peter Jennings. Peter Jennings just did the news, real boring news for a half hour every day on ABC at 5:30. That was how we were informed. With a boring Canadian who's a high school dropout. Yeah. Did you know that about Peter Jennings? Peter Jennings is a high school dropout from Canada. Not even an American. Born on this day in 1938, Peter Jennings. Born on this day in 1942, Tony Sirico. Tony Sirico died in 2022. Do you know who Tony Sirico is? You should. He's Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos. Can't believe Junior Soprano outlived Paulie Walnuts and Tony. That's crazy. Anybody else from The Sopranos die? Any other major people from The Sopranos dead? Junior's still alive. All right. On this day, born in 1953, America's greatest filmmaker, greatest documentary filmmaker. I don't know, a guy who I've seen just about everything that he's done. I love his work. Ken Burns. Ken Burns. I love that shit. I first got turned on to Ken Burns with Ken Burns Baseball. That was back like in the 1980s, maybe early 90s. It was a PBS, like 100-part series on the history of baseball. And I've never in my life like gone so deep into, and then by 1875, it was like, my God, so fascinating. Ken Burns. Remember he did Civil War too? I didn't see Civil War was his breakthrough. Ken Burns, Civil War. Remember, it was all these letters. Martha, I feel the Unionists. That whole thing. All letters dubbed by actors. I never saw that one. I wasn't into this. I wasn't really into the Civil War back then. Didn't care much. But then baseball came out, and I was like, I watched this. And then that just opened up the floodgates. And now I've seen everything that Ken Burns does. He does some boring stuff. There's some boring things. What's his company? Florentine? Like Florentine Films, Ken Burns film company. Florentine Films does a whole bunch of other stuff now that's just produced by Ken Burns, but it's other documentary. I haven't really jumped into that. Maybe I should. You know what else is a really good one? You want to know my favorite Ken Burns? He did one on country music. That was so good. If you ever get a chance to see like the 100-part PBS documentary series on the history of country music, it is amazing. I just rewatched that one recently. The Roosevelts. I love the Roosevelts one and the national parks. Oh, that sounds so boring, doesn't it? But the national parks one is also really good. Let's see here. Ken Burns, born on this day in 1953. Born on this day, also in 1953. Two of the coolest son of a bitches. Two people that I really like. Two people who have brought me endless joy and fascination. Ken Burns being one, but also on this day in 1953, Geddy Lee. Geddy Lee. I love Geddy Lee. He's like the cool. He's like, okay, so like, how Dave Grohl is like a really cool rock star, but Dave Grohl also seems like he's cool. Like Dave Grohl, you could like maybe like if you're hanging out with Dave Grohl, you'd be like, Dave, these shoes look cool. And like if Dave said, yeah, those shoes look cool, you'd be like, you'd know they were cool because it was Dave Grohl. Geddy Lee is cool in a different way. Geddy Lee is like a dork. Like Geddy Lee, you couldn't trust to like tell you if you look good or not, because if you've seen the way he dressed in the 1970s, and even now he still looks kind of silly. But Geddy Lee seems to be lead singer of Rush. Geddy Lee seems to be one of the most decent, down the earth, friendly. I didn't even know I was famous. I'm just up here. Geddy Lee, all the guys in Rush, well, except for poor Neil. Neil died. Neil was known to be difficult with people, but that was only because he was uncomfortable being Neil Peart. But Alex Lifeson, Geddy Lee, they just seem like such good people, decent people. Anyway, born on this day in 1953, the great Geddy Lee, lead singer of Rush and bass player. Incredible. He doesn't get enough credit. Everybody in that band is so good at playing instruments. Born on this day in 1953. Also born on this day in 1953. This is a lady. This is the queen of the E Street Band, Patti Scialfa. Redheaded firestorm from New Jersey. She could play like a dozen instruments. She's known since joining the E Street Band about 20 years ago or so. She is known as the glue in the band. She's the den mother of the band, Patti Scialfa. She does background vocals. She plays a mean tambourine. Also can help out on congas and keyboards and play a little guitar in the background. She also plays a number of horn instruments and violins. And Patti Scialfa of the E Street Band, an incredibly talented woman, but you could call her Mrs. Springsteen. Yep. Bruce fell in love with her talent and her ability, and he was like, oh my God. Patti Scialfa, born on this day in 1953. Born on this day in 1974, a dude that just did not know how to take advantage of the heat when the heat was there. I feel bad for this guy. It didn't work out for him. And it's over. It's not like, well, he could come back. I mean, I suppose he could, but it'll be like as the dad on a show that is a surprise hit, and people are like, hey, Josh Radnor is back. Remember Josh Radnor? There was a period of time when Josh Radnor was like one of the most famous people in America. He was the star of How I Met Your Mother, right? Everybody else on How I Met Your Mother has done things. I mean, I would say that Allison Hannigan, next to Josh Radnor, is probably the least accomplished How I Met Your Mother alum, but she had a career before that. She was the only one we knew before that show started. Jason Segel is going on. He's like Sarah Marshalling it up and doing other things. He's got that amazing Apple TV show that's so great. Colby Smuthers, she's like all in the Marvel universe now. She's doing that stuff and turning up places. Barney, right? Barney, I guess he was famous too. Now that I mention it, yeah, Barney was Doogie Howser, so he was probably the most famous. Allison Hannigan was the second famous. Josh Radnor did nothing. Where have you seen him? I haven't seen him anywhere. Anyway, happy birthday, Josh Radnor. Born on this day in 1974. I ain't seen you lately, but hopefully you're cashing those How I Met Your Mother residual checks, and you're doing just fine. Born on this day in 1982. I like this one. Allison Mack, American actress, and I love it when the Wikipedia has to drop a bomb. Allison Mack, American actress and criminal. Yeah. Sexy, freaky, cult sex criminal. That's who Allison Mack is. Allison Mack, I didn't know who Allison Mack is. Allison Mack was, I guess, kind of famous for being on Smallville, which was a show that I guess people watched, but I didn't. Which is strange because Superman is my favorite of all of those, superhero characters. I like Superman the best, but I never watched Smallville. Seemed like a show for kids when I was decidedly a grown-up. But she was on that. That's what Allison Mack is from. But here's the thing. She was also in that weird sex cult, that weird XK, XCV, XVD, XC, whatever. I don't know. Look it up. Just Google Allison Mack. It'll tell you. It's a bunch of crazy letters. But they were like a sex cult. And there were a whole bunch of Hollywood actresses in there. Like Allison Mack, and I don't know this one's name, but if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan like I am, Callie, the girl who played Callie on Battlestar Galactica. Callie was one of the deck workers. She was one of the flight control, getting the Vipers off the deck and all of that. And she was in a relationship. She would go on to have a substantial relationship in Battlestar Galactica with Chief. Chief and Callie were kind of a thing. But Callie and Allison Mack, our birthday girl, they were like lesbian lovers in this crazy weird sex cult. Yeah. No, not this. This. That's hot. So Allison Mack, I don't know who you are, but you were like crazy weird. They're in jail now because apparently that cult was like, I don't know. Look it up. There's a documentary about the cult. They're probably not in jail now. It's probably one of them deals where they only went to jail for like 18 months or something and they're out, but whatever. On this day, the world welcomed Allison Mack. Crazy sex cult lady. All right, born on this day in 1993. Here's another birthday boy, and I got a little something to say about this guy. Born on this day in 1993, Dak Prescott, quarterback for your Dallas Cowboys. Talk to some of my Dallas Cowboy friends here for a minute. So here's my deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Basically hated them my whole life. They ruined. The first time my Bears ever made it into the playoffs was like in the late 70s. I was a little kid and I'm like, oh boy, we're going all the way, and then they ran up against the 1970s Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett Cowboys. And that all ended pretty suddenly for me. Like 9-year-old broken heart, hated the Cowboys from that moment. Anyway, moved down here, become a part of a number of Cowboy stations, host Cowboy pregame shows, host Cowboy postgame shows, hosted Cowboy draft parties for a number of years. And, the whole time I kind of start becoming friends with people in the organization. So it seems like I'm friendly and I'm watching the games, but I'm never a real, I always make this distinction. I have a team of my youth, the Chicago Bears, who own my heart. And then I've got a team as an adult, the Dallas Cowboys, who I watch, but I'm not heartbroken when shit goes haywire for them because I'm not emotionally invested. So that's how I feel about the Cowboys. Now, I also have a situation where the most important thing in my life is my son. And to him, the Cowboys are the team of his youth. So he is emotionally invested in all this stuff. Dak Prescott is my son's quarterback. My son loves Dak Prescott. My son, up until the Cowboys were eliminated last year in the playoffs, and he wasn't the only one. There's a whole bunch of you out there. Up until the Cowboys were eliminated last year, the average Dallas Cowboy fan was advocating that Dak Prescott be league MVP. He's league MVP. That was the argument. And then after that loss, it became, we ain't paying him. We can get somebody better than him. We don't need to pay him. We got Trey Lance on the, you started to hear this nonsense. Listen to me, folks. I just told you, I am a Chicago Bear fan. They are the team of my youth, okay? Heed my warning when I tell you, don't take for granted that y'all have had Don Meredith, Mr. Popular, that y'all have had Don Meredith, Roger Staubach, hell, even Danny White, a couple of bad years. I don't know, who'd you have? Would you have Wilson, Wade Wilson? I don't know who you had for a couple of years. And then you got Troy Aikman, right? And then there was a couple of years where there was a mess, but then you got Tony Romo, like in the 6th round, whatever Tony Romo was, and you turn him into a league-leading quarterback. He was. I know there was a lot of, Tony sucks, Tony's great. There was a lot of that. Now, rose-colored glasses, everybody seems to like Tony again. Why can't Dak be like Tony? I don't remember Tony ever be talked about going into week 17 as an MVP candidate, okay? You don't realize or appreciate what you have in Dak Prescott, Cowboy fans. You don't want to pay him. Oh, he doesn't deserve that. What? Guess what? He does, because that's what the market is now. What do you want to do? You want to move on? The Cowboy fan who thinks that they can just move on from Dak Prescott and then pick off of a tree another future Hall of Fame quarterback is absolutely insane to someone like me, a Chicago Bear fan, who haven't been able to put a good quarterback together. I mean, Jim McMahon had a couple of good years, but honestly, since World War II, okay? I sit there and I'm like, geez, do you realize that if you let Dak walk? Now, I'm not going to say there's going to be 32 other teams that are going to get in line to sign him up, although, if the price was right, all 32 would absolutely have a roster spot for Dak Prescott. But Dak Prescott could start right now, today. The Cowboys let him go. He's going to start on probably 20 teams in the NFL. That's who you have. So stop it. Happy birthday, Dak. Get his ass paid. He's probably now going to be the most expensive quarterback, and it's not because he's the greatest and most deserving of all time, although he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league currently. He's going to get paid that amount simply because that's how the market works. He's up. Jordan Love just reset the market. I think Dak Prescott has proven more than Jordan Love has in one season. Dak Prescott has an argument to be the highest paid quarterback of all time. Jerry's going to have to pay him. And then you see people, I'd rather have Micah. Dude, seriously, now I'm a Chicago Bear fan, okay? Now listen to me as a Chicago Bear fan who just told you that quarterbacks do not grow on trees, okay? I want to keep Micah. I promise you, edge rushers do in fact grow on trees. You keep Dak, you pay Dak, and you let Micah go if you can't figure out a way to keep all three. But you keep Dak and preferably CD. Then you go out and you get yourself a 5th-round guy who turns into Max Crosby, okay? That's what edge rushers are far more plentiful. You can develop edge rushers. You can't develop quarterbacks who process quickly. That's just something they can either do or they can't. Dak is one of those processing quarterbacks. Let's see here. Adam, but I'd rather have CD and Micah. Both wide receivers and edge rushers grow on freaking trees, man. I'd rather. That's not long-term smarts. Go ahead. Keep CD and keep Micah and then roll in with who? You're going to roll in with Trey Lance? Are you going to go into the draft next year, maybe take a – look, hey, the Cowboys' history of developing quarterbacks is – maybe a different one than I'm used to with the Bears. So maybe my opinion on this is clouded by failure to develop quarterbacks. Maybe you believe the Cowboys have a special sauce for developing them. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I would warn you, pay Dak Prescott, okay? And let Micah go. You don't, seriously, he's an edge rusher, man. It's an important position. It's probably the second most important position on all of football, I would argue. An edge rusher, an elite edge rusher. But they're just more plentiful. They seem to be more gettable than an elite quarterback. There's more of them. There's just more of them. All right, Dak Prescott, happy birthday to him. Those are birthdays. Let's talk about deads. Quarter 3 here. Dead people. We like to decide who goes to heaven and who goes to hell among the people who died on this day. Let's see here. Dead on this day. 1974, Cass Elliot, Mama Cass Elliot, from Mamas and the Papas. Mama Cass Elliot died on this day in 1974. How'd she die? Oh, you idiots. Oh, you idiots. Everybody thinks she died eating a ham sandwich. She didn't die eating a ham sandwich. That's a cruel, that has taken on sort of a cruel pose. Just a big fat lady. She couldn't control herself. She was eating so much. She just had a bucket of ham sandwiches, and she got to like ham sandwich number 28 because she's a big fat lady, and then she choked and died. I think that was kind of the whole thing. She didn't die from eating a ham sandwich. I will tell you the origin of that story, though. It appeared in her official obituary in Variety. So you can't blame people for thinking it. Here's the story behind the ham sandwich. Alan Carr was her producer, her executive producer. He'd signed her to the record deal. He got her away from the Mamas and the Papas. He was blowing her up as a solo artist, and she was big. Figuratively and literally, she was big. She was she was Taylor Swift level popular when she died. Maybe not Taylor Swift, but she was in that arena. Lady Gaga, for sure. She was the hottest thing at the moment in popular music. So Alan Carr, her producer, was afraid because she had a history of drug abuse. He was afraid that the stories would get out that, she OD'd this, because, that's what was happening with pop stars. So Alan Carr invented the story that she choked on food because he thought that humiliating way to die would stop people from speculating that she was a drug addict, which would have hurt, in Alan Carr's estimation, his bottom line profits on her posthumous sales. So that's where the ham sandwich story comes from. And by the way, he himself admitted it. And the woman who was quoted to the Variety, who was her personal assistant, who was advised to do this by Alan Carr, she has admitted it. So what did she die of? She died of complications of being incredibly unhealthy and double pneumonia. She had collapsed days prior. She was in London. She had done like 5 sold-out shows at London's Royal Albert Hall, and she would go to these parties after. She went to Mick Jagger's birthday party. Remember, we just said it was Mick Jagger's birthday the other day, so she went to Mick Jagger's birthday party, and everybody, including Mick Jagger, was like, you look sick. You need to get off the road. You need to get healthy. She was pale. She was sweating. She then went to a dinner that was honoring her in London with all of these famous people. And she left. She left at 8:00, and they said she left because she was sick. She was vomiting and sweating and not feeling well. She went back to her place that she was staying in London and died that night in her sleep of complications from double pneumonia and all of that stuff. Not a ham sandwich. We're putting her in heaven because she had a beautiful voice and she wrote some really pretty songs, and people have been really mean to her since she died. Cass Elliot, dead on this day in 1974. We're putting her in heaven. Dead on this day in 1976, we're putting him in hell. This is gotta go to hell. Mickey Cohen. Who's Mickey Cohen, Pugs? Mickey Cohen is the gangster who ran Los Angeles essentially for the New York family interests. Mickey Cohen, you know the story of Bugsy Siegel? You ever seen that movie, Bugsy? Okay. Bugsy Siegel was sent out to Las Vegas and the West Coast, Los Angeles, to sort of solidify things for the New York families because the Chicago outfit was essentially taking control out there. They had expanded out there first. And so the New York families sent their own watchdog out there. The first one was a guy by the name of Ben Bugsy Siegel. The movie Bugsy was made about this. Ben Bugsy Siegel is often credited with being the first guy to see the potential of Las Vegas. He's also sometimes misrepresented as the dude who invented Las Vegas. That is not true. Las Vegas already had casinos. It already had things. What Bugsy did was Bugsy sort of invented the air of, this is not some desert mining gambling town from the 1890s. Bugsy Siegel's idea of Las Vegas was, this is a place where limousines from Los Angeles will come and provide 5-star accommodations to wealthy people. That was Bugsy Siegel. So Bugsy Siegel had a big success in Vegas, and he was taken out by the New York family after having a big success with, I believe, the Sands originally. Or the Palms, I don't know what it was. He was murdered. He was murdered for skimming money. They found out that Bugsy was taking a lot of money out of the casinos, and so they killed him. Bugsy was no longer in charge, and that is where our guy who died today, Mickey Cohen, took over. Mickey Cohn took over running Los Angeles and Las Vegas for the New York families. Mickey Cohn would be a powerful, powerful force in Hollywood throughout the 1950s and 60s and 70s. He died on this day in 1976. He's in hell. Mickey Cohn was a gangster. How do I know all that about Mickey Cohn? Because I love gangsters. I love the stories of the 5 families and the different organizations throughout America. Dead on this day in 2070, Tom Schneider. Tom Schneider. I'm putting Tom Schneider in heaven, although he's probably going to hell. Tom Schneider was a radio guy first, then he became a talk show host. He famously did the show Tomorrow, which was on NBC. It was a part of NBC's Today, Tonight, Tomorrow lineup. The Today Show in the morning, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and then late night, before there was David Letterman, there was Tomorrow. And that was Tom Schneider's show. And he did some really, you can still go to YouTube, just put Tom Schneider Tomorrow 1970s. And you will see amazing interviews with people. You're like, look at him. He's talking to Malcolm X and David Duke. Or he's talking to, you know what I mean? It was just crazy good interviews. Tom Schneider. He brought the show back, right? Didn't he bring it back on CBS? I think David Letterman, who was a big fan of Tom Schneider, when David Letterman got his CBS thing, he brought initially Tom Schneider back. And then he did one-on-one cool-ass interviews. I like Tom Schneider. I'm putting him in heaven because I like him, but he's probably going to hell. He was one of these like 70s single leisure suit wearing guy. Yeah, I think that he probably did some stuff, is all I'm saying. All right, that's going to do it for the first 3 quarters of today's show. I'd like to remind you that if you want to tip the show and help us out, continue promoting, supporting this kind of talk radio that doesn't take any particular political opinion, just kind of goes right down the middle and judges them as they see. I like to hit fastballs, political fastballs. If it's a curve or some kind of junk coming in, I ignore that and let the weirdos take over. But this show has been doing this now for 3 years, and it goes on your support. So help us out if you can. That would be greatly appreciated. We're going to leave that up for the remainder of the show. We're in the 4th quarter now. Man, this is tasty. It's just so good, even when it gets warm. Code mix, no flavor, not even a flavor. I like that. There's not a flavor. This is not good. It's not a flavor. It's energy drink flavor. It's like a good energy drink flavor. See this? It's working. Look at me. I'm like tapping the table. Woo. All right, let's get into all the top stories, headlines, hot topics, current events, whatever it is people are talking about. I'm going to continue the rant here. Let's see here. What do we want to start with? Supreme Court reform. That's the big story of the day. The Supreme Court going to be reformed. I'm for it. Are you for it? I hope you're for it. I hope you're for it because you recognize the Supreme Court needs to be reformed. I hope you're not against it because, well, it just so happens to be coming from Joe Biden. No. We're talking about term limits. I've been saying term limit 20 years. I don't give a fuck who's the president. Term limits in the Supreme Court is something that we need to have. We can't have some 95-year-old geriatric dude who's just trying to stay on the bench because that's that's his entire identity, making decisions that he doesn't understand because he doesn't get kids. We need about a 10 to 15 year, I think, term. That's what a Supreme Court justice should be. It's got to be long enough. And then there's got to be something where after your term, you can't take a job in the private sector for 5 years. It's got to be something. There's got to be, because that's the problem with term limits. Like, fine, you want to term limit them. They'll just do that, and they'll do the bidding of the people they're going to work for when they're done. Yeah, that's a problem. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I am for maybe adding more people to the bench, maybe having a wider opinion, maybe we're having greater debates instead of everything being 5-4, whatever. I think that's important. I certainly don't like the idea of Supreme Court justices going on trips and taking money and hanging out. Seriously. Supreme Court justices are supposed to be beyond reproach, and it doesn't seem like they have been for about 40 years. So let's get that car back on the road. Supreme Court reform. I told you this about this crazy old Biden. You guys have unleashed a monster. He is a lame duck president with executive order power. He's going to do shit now because he don't give a fuck. He's going to do stuff that is going to try, at least in his mind and his ideology, he's going to do stuff that is going to help his vision of what his legacy should be. Okay, there you go. This guy's we're not going to agree with all of it. He's going to like it though. We got an old man with unchecked power at this point. Oh, he's got checked power. Not really. Executive order gives a president with nothing to lose a whole lot of unchecked power. See how he uses it. How can he use it? I mean, he's not going to say, all right, it's Wednesday. Nobody can wear underwear on Wednesday. He can't do that kind of stuff. But he can do some things. He needs to do an executive order that says that no further executive orders can cancel out executive orders that preceded it. Something like that. You know that little trick we do when people say, if you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for? Well, first off, I'd wish for 1 million more wishes. That doesn't work. Holy crap. All right, I'm going to stop drinking these energy drinks before the show because I'm racy. All right, developing ... Biden calls Supreme Court term limits and code of conduct. What's he doing? It's presidential immunity and stuff. I don't know, whatever. Supreme Court, you want to know more? There you go. Google it. Biden, Supreme Court. Trust me, they're smart people who will break it down for you. Hezbollah has entered the chat. We've been worried about Hezbollah. Hezbollah is, of course, the Iranian. They're both backed by Iran, Hamas and Hezbollah. It's just Hamas is the terror organization backed by Iraq that operates inside Palestine, whereas Hezbollah is the terrorist organization backed by Iran that operates predominantly in Beirut. Well, ever since the Israeli-Hamas situation has been going on, we've been keeping an eye on Hezbollah. Every couple of weeks, Hezbollah will launch a missile into northern Israel, Golan Heights type area. And we're all like, oh, they better not get involved. And then, everybody around the country starts pointing at Hezbollah going, we're watching you. Well, on Saturday, Hezbollah did something that they really hadn't done before, which was a large-scale attack on a Jewish population. Hezbollah launched missiles from their fixed positions inside Beirut at a children's soccer game that was occurring was this in the Golan Heights? I believe it was in the Golan Heights. Here, let's find the story, tell you about what's happening there. A whole bunch of kids were killed. I mean, this is just do they have that? Here's what I wanted. It's terrible that children were killed, without a doubt. That's the horror of it. That's why this story has outraged people around the country. If it was just a bunch of regular people that were killed, grown-ups, I don't think, but it's kids. Do they have that kind of, is this just a terrible, I know they were trying to kill people. My point is this, do these Hezbollah rockets, are they guided? Was it like, hey, let's kill all these children playing youth soccer at this youth soccer? Was that it? Or was it just, let's see where this goes? And then that's where, I don't know. Look, no difference. Terrorism is terrorism. But, I would like to know if they were intentionally trying to kill a whole bunch of kids. Let's see. Here's the latest on this. Israel-Hamas war, day 296. Iranian-made Hezbollah rocket kills 12 children. U.S. condemns horrific attack. Where is it? Netanyahu, he was in America. Remember, he was over here in America. He had to fly back, so it's one of them kind of things. Anyway, terrible, terrible thing. I haven't seen any footage. Been watching the news reports of this, and they keep showing this awful footage, and I just have to turn away. I get it. The world is a terrible place. UK, let's turn to the UK today. There was a stabbing there in northeast, not London, England, up there. What is it? Southport, UK. 2 little girls are dead. 9 have been injured in a mass stabbing at a Taylor Swift dance party in Southport, UK. Bunch of little girls, bunch of your daughters, bunch of little girls show up for a dance party, a Taylor Swift fan dance party. And some fucking guy shows up with a knife and kills 2 little girls and then stabs a whole bunch of other people. 2 young girls were killed and at least 9 others injured when a hooded knife-wielding teenager rampaged through a Taylor Swift-themed dance workshop in the UK Monday morning. The horror unfolded shortly before noon in Southport. just outside of Liverpool, when the unidentified 17-year-old, this was a 17-year-old attacking children. This is a child attacking other children. When the unidentified 17-year-old attacked the children before he was taken into custody by police. In an update, police said 2 died and 9 others were injured, including some left fighting for their lives. Okay, whatever. It's a 17-year-old, just a bunch of little girls dancing to Taylor Swift music. By the way, this was at a dance studio. This was, you've seen those maybe. I don't know. They have them in strip malls. There's one over by this place where I get pizza. It's on the 2nd floor. And I always look up there and I'm like, oh, isn't that adorable? It's like some fancy ballet school for little kids. And you see when you pull into the parking lot, you see the little kids and they're like on the bar and they're doing like ballet. It's just adorable. It's like, isn't that cute? And you see like moms and dads and stuff just standing around. That's like what this is. This dude just went into one of those places, pulled out a knife and just started stabbing people. Good Lord. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Moving on. Venezuela, they got elections going down there in Venezuela. Maduro, who is the current king dipshit down there in Venezuela, he's apparently lost the election, but he's releasing numbers that say that he's won. Sound familiar? And he is refusing to leave. And so there you have it. That's happening in Venezuela. People are about to take, they're not about to, they have been taking to the streets, and there's things burning, and people are not accepting Maduro going, okay, I know that I was losing badly, but look at me. I came from behind at the end, and now I won. And people are like, no, you didn't. And so there's that. That's happening. That's happening in Venezuela. Look, I don't really care about Venezuela. Just don't affect the easy flow of major league ready shortstops. That's what Venezuela is to me. It is where infielders come from. Let's keep an eye on what's happening with our infielders in Venezuela, and let's hope that they're not affected. Their development isn't affected by anything that's happening politically in their fair country. All right, now here we go. Let's talk about the Olympics, okay? I wanted to get to the Olympics here. Wait, hold on. What's going on? What's Adam saying? The dumbasses will say we need... Okay, I don't want to go into that. He is right. The dumbasses will say we need knife control. No, we don't. Unless you're the person whose logic tells you that knives and guns are the same thing, because they're not. So, that's the disconnect in the very beginning of your argument that a smarter person might point out. Yeah, not a fair argument. You're talking about apples and oranges. What? Gun control, knife control. Stop it. Shut up. Besides, also, knives are used for a whole bunch of other things in civilized society by people who don't end up stabbing 2 little girls at a Taylor Swift dance party. We need knives to cut our food. We need knives to work. We do all kinds of things. Guns, no other purpose but to shoot somebody. Okay? So stop with the argument. And I'm not saying that the gun control argument is right. I'm just telling you, there is a difference between guns and knives. And when you say knife control, you sound like a reductive moron. Like, really? That's how logic tells you to view this, that knives and guns are the same thing? Stop it, you petty little whining bitch. Speaking of petty little whining bitches, let's talk about the Olympics. I was a petty little whiny bitch on Friday. I told you I didn't think I was going to watch the Olympics because I didn't know how to watch the Olympics. There was a time when I used to view Olympic season here in the summer as being incredibly intrusive. Do you remember? Do you remember like back like the 84 Olympics, the 88 Olympics, the 92 Olympics, the 96, whatever it was, the 2000, whatever Olympics. When the Olympics would come on in the summer, you could just, if you weren't into the Olympics, you could just be like, well, I'm not watching NBC for a month, or any show that I wanted to watch on NBC is now going to be preempted. It was very intrusive. And I came to resent a lot of the Olympics. They're making us watch shit. And that was kind of my vibe going into Friday when I was saying, the Olympics are starting tonight, and I probably won't watch them because, one, I don't know how to watch the Olympics anymore. I don't have channel NBC. I don't watch network TV. Is it even on network TV? So that was my position. And then I got home Friday, and all that changed because I discovered Peacock. And I am telling you, the way Peacock is covering the Peacock app, I watch it on my big screen. I just click on it. and I go to the little Olympic rings section. There's a menu. There's a home, TV shows, movies, whatever, Peacock originals. And then there's a little Olympic rings thing, the Olympic rings. And I click on that. And then Peacock is just Olympic shit. They got a thing that I discovered on Saturday that I love. It's called Gold Zone. Do you know what Gold Zone is? It's Red Zone. You know how awesome NFL Red Zone is on Sundays? Love it. They do that with the Olympics. On Saturday, I watched about 6 straight hours of Gold Zone coverage. Here's the other thing I love about NBC's or Peacock's Olympic Gold Zone coverage. You know who the host of Gold Zone was? Andrew Siciliano, the host of NFL Red Zone. He was doing the whip around and he was doing all of the stuff that we got used to from the Red Zone. It was great. It was really an incredibly innovative way to watch the Olympics. What is the Gold Zone? It's a dude in a studio. If you're unfamiliar with the Red Zone for the NFL, the Gold Zone is the dude in a studio with like 16 TV screens behind him. And there's something going on in each one. And there are people watching each of those. And he's got a little thing in his head. And there are producers watching each of those games, telling him which games they need to go to because there's a dramatic thing happening. And it is just endless dramatic moment after dramatic moment. I didn't answer a phone call from my son. Let me tell you something. My son called and I called him back immediately. But I let it go to voicemail because I'm watching on the Gold Zone a Chinese archer go up against a South Korean archer for one pull for the gold medal. And just as it's about to happen, my phone rings and I go, I can't, right at this moment, I care more about the outcome of this. That's Gold Zone. That's what Gold Zone did to me. By the way, China won. The Chinese girl, she won. All right, what else can I tell you about the Olympics? What am I enjoying? What are you enjoying? Have you guys seen this? You guys seen handball? You know what team handball is? So here's how I go into the Olympics. I like to think, like, there's so many stupid sports. There's got to be one that I might be good at. There's got to be one that I could probably, if I just trained balls out for 6 months, that maybe I could at least get. I was like badminton. Okay, I'll give you that. I was looking at badminton, and I'm like, I could probably, if I just trained balls out for like 6 months to learn everything that I could, if I really crammed on badminton, I bet you I could be good at badminton in the Olympics. I was good at badminton at picnics and stuff. That seems pretty easy. Then I watched Olympic men's badminton. Oh my God. Holy shit. Holy. Here, let me see. I think I got an example of Olympic men's badminton that I can share with you. Holy shit, you guys. Let me see here. Olympic badminton's awesome. All right, no, horse biting people. All right, you know what? Maybe I don't have an example of Olympic badminton. Let me see. Or do I? There's a lot of stuff happened over the weekend. No, not men's synchronized swimming. All right, I guess I don't have an example of Olympic badminton, but holy crap, that sport is insane. Those dudes are super athletes there. First of all, the badminton is going like way faster than you think. Like, you know, while you play badminton, there's slow arcing. No, like men's Olympic level badminton, it is all just like, I mean, it is so fast. Badminton. I have no respect for badminton. What else? I like handball. Handball is a bunch of dudes. Looks like soccer. There's a dude in a goal protecting the goal, but guys have like a ball and they're just trying to throw the ball. It seems really stupid. Don't like handball. That looks like they dribble sometimes. Sometimes you got to dribble like basketball, but it doesn't seem like you have to always dribble, and I don't know when. That was stupid. Watched a lot of rugby. That was fun. Rugby, I watched fencing. I saw Look, none of the really good sports start until like the second week, I think. Let's be honest. I'm just here for the sprints. That's it. I'm here for like the 100-meter and the 50-meter and the 4x100, 400-meter, whatever. I'm here for that stuff. and maybe gymnastics, and then let's get into the gold medal round of basketball. Watched basketball, watched America, watched Team USA, the much maligned Team USA, because they took the preliminaries off. Why? Because they're a team that's led by LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. They can show up in the fourth quarter and win by 20 points. But okay, people were like, they almost lost to South Sudan. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They made the South Sudanese players feel good about themselves by keeping it close. Anyway, they played Serbia. Played Serbia yesterday, 10:30, Team USA, first game of the Olympics. Team USA taking on Team Serbia. Now, it's interesting because Team Serbia is led by multiple-time NBA MVP Djokovic. Right? So I'm like, oh, maybe this is going to be a game. And I'm watching the game, and the first quarter, the Serbians were up 12-2. They came out on a huge run to start the game. And Jokic was like up. Not Djokovic. I'm getting like the joke names mixed up between the tennis player and our basketball player. Anyway, Jokic, doesn't matter. You know who I'm talking about, the Nugget. He's balling out. And it's like, oh, man, this might be hard for America. And then, Steve Kerr calls a timeout at 12-2 in the first, talks to the guys, and then they come out. And what'd they win by 20? What Team America win by 20? LeBron James was Captain America, man. That dude just, I think he's like, I'm going to try now. Was that kind of it? I don't know. Kevin Durant looked amazing. I don't know. This team, I said it on Friday. Stop your worrying about Team USA. I know that other nations have pretty decent players. All of these nations have players in the NBA, whether you're talking about France with Wemby or, I talked about the Serbian team. The German team's got NBA play. All of these players from around the world, but it's not a full team of them. You see, the American team has even the worst guy on the American team is still the best guy on his NBA team. So, when you say, well, they've got so-and-so on their team. France has Wemby on their team. Yeah, he's going into his second year in the NBA. He might be a transcendent player. But the rest of the guys on his team can't even sniff an NBA roster. So it's like, come on, stop it. I predicted on Friday that Team USA would win by an average margin of victory of 12 points. I think they won by 20 yesterday. So that prediction is off to a good start. All right. Now let's get into some serious stuff about the Olympics. Let's talk about the opening ceremonies, shall we? Okay, first of all, let me tell you about the opening ceremonies. First of all, in the very beginning, when they showed that it was the teams were all going to be occupying boats, and these boats were going to be traveling through the heart of Paris down the Seine River. At first, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then it started, and I was like, oh, wait, boats move real slow. This is going to suck. This is going to take forever. Because there's like a couple hundred teams. I don't know how many teams there are, but there's a lot of teams. These are a lot of boats we're going to have to watch. So that was a little troubling in the beginning. But then I realized that they had realized this. So they were going to do all of these different things in between the boat procession. They were going to do that cool-ass metal show at that castle with the flames. It was very cool, man. It was very cool. It was very artsy-fartsy and all that kind of stuff. And that's not really what I'm about. But I was sitting there. It's Friday night. May or may not have been on edibles. I thought it was cool. I watched the whole damn thing. What else did I see? Here's what I noticed. Kelly Clarkson needs to shut the fuck up, okay? I have never disliked Kelly Clarkson before. And on Friday night, I'm like, Kelly Clarkson, shut up. She's like, everything was like, oh my God, you guys, oh my God. She was like hanging out with a sorority girl. You got Mike Tirico and Peyton Manning there. By the way, Peyton Manning, can we just say, Peyton Manning's quite a broadcaster. That dude's good. Peyton Manning is good. He's just not some dumb jock that they gave a microphone to. No, he's good. He's comfortable. He's confident. So that was the opening ceremony hosts, I think. What else did we have? Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is the official American, or at least Peacock would have us believe Snoop Dogg is the official mascot for Team America. That's kind of funny. Peter says, oh my God, I can't believe all the furor over the supposed Last Supper deal. Okay. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Last Supper thing. Hold on, let me pull this up properly. So, let's see here. Oh, also, how cool is it? You know, one of the cool things about being America is we take shit for granted. So all the nations that had teams competing at the Olympics, all the nations had to be represented on boats, but some nations had to share boats. Not us, not Team America, like the cool nations, like the top nations. The Olympics, they really let you know who the important nations are. We didn't have to share a boat. The United States of America didn't share a boat. China didn't share a boat. Germany didn't share a boat. UK didn't share a boat. France didn't share a boat. The important ones did not share a boat. And you had like North and South Korea on the same boat. Did I see that? Hey, what happened to Russia? You know, this is another thing, that Russia isn't in this Olympics. They've been banned from this Olympics because of the Ukraine thing. I didn't realize that. All right, let's talk about what happened with the Last Supper. So I guess the question that we need to ask is were Christians being mocked by the depiction of the Last Supper with drag queens at the Olympics on Friday night during the opening ceremonies? Were Christians being mocked? Well, here's how you answer that, because I've heard a lot of people go, they weren't being mocked. They weren't. You don't know what the intention was. All we know is that Christians feel mocked. Aw, Christians feel mocked, and they're letting the whole world. So that's what it's about. It's not about what the intention was. It's about, did people feel mocked? Man, yeah, so Christians are pretty much out there, especially on social media. They're snowflaking. They're pearl clutching. They love to be victimized. So I don't know. So I looked at it, right? I'm watching it. And I'm like, this is wild. I'm watching it and I'm going, this seems kind of provocative to me, right? I'm looking at it. I'm Christian or Catholic, raised Catholic, educated Catholic, that whole thing. I'm actually without a faith, but this is my background. This is my understanding. I can infiltrate into civilized Christian society and hang and bang with, the Jesus talk, because I was raised Catholic. I understand it all. So I'm looking at this from my point of view. I'm like, oh, okay, what is this? But then it turned into something else. It got all weird. Well, it was weird from the beginning. Drag queens, Last Supper depiction. That's weird to begin with. But then it got all weird. So then I see that it's taken off. People are like, Christians were mocked. But then I see it explained from the art director. Now, not the executive art director, the person who produced it. That person is talking now. But on Saturday, after this big hubbub, one of the art directors had issued a tweet that said, my God, people, there is nothing about Christianity represented in this presentation. Now, like I said, I saw that Last Supper thing, and I was like, well, I don't know about that. I misidentified it. Apparently, as they said, this entire opening was about French history, French culture, and Olympic Greek mythology. Okay, and now I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, because you had Marie Antoinette, she was singing and all that, and then you had, I don't know what, but the explanation is that wasn't a depiction of the Last Supper. It was a depiction of the Feast of Dionysus, who is, of course, one of the Greek gods on Mount Olympus. Dionysus is the god of festivals and wine and parties and good times and all that kind of stuff. Now, apparently, Dionysus was there on the table. He was the big fat guy with the beard in blue. When you look at the picture of the Feast of Dionysus, and then you look at the picture of the Last Supper, they're very similar pictures. They are very similar pictures. So the official explanation from the Olympic Committee is that it wasn't intentionally Christian. It wasn't, looking to tweak Christian people. In fact, there was almost no Christian imagery or anything in that entire opening. This is them saying it. This is about French history, French culture, and Greek mythology, right? Because Mount Olympus, get it? The gods, Olympics, Greek, that whole thing. So that made sense to me. And I'm like, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't the Last Supper, it wasn't intended. It was the Feast of Dionysus. That makes sense. And then I'm looking at the picture of the Feast of Dionysus and I'm going, oh yeah, I see it now. But because the only knowledge that I'd had was the Last Supper, right? I was unfamiliar with the Feast of Dionysus. That's my own ignorance. So in my own ignorance, I was like, oh, that's the Last Supper, and they're mocking it. Then I learned about the Feast of Dionysus, and I go, oh, maybe they weren't mocking it. Maybe that's what they were doing. I just didn't know that was a thing because I'm an idiot. What else? So was it openly mocking Christianity? I think the jury's out. Did the Christians feel mocked? Oh, yeah. But any opportunity for Christians to now be victimized, they love it. It's their whole thing. Jesus was victimized. It's their whole thing. They project that other people should never be victims and that they, don't complain and snowflaking. And then that's all they do when they get in a group. Is they're like, you're making fun of us. Toughen up, Buttercup. It's France. You were shocked they had gay people and drag queens represented in France, in Paris, in gay Paris. That's a part of their culture, man. This isn't the American Olympics, okay? If you want an Uncle Sam and, shot dudes walking down the street, firing off shotguns from the backs of pickup trucks, maybe that's what you can have at your next American Olympics. But that's fucking Paris, man. Those people, by the average Midwestern American point of view, are weird. Yeah, they're very Parisian. So that's what was going on there. If you feel mocked, that's on you. Were they mocking you? Well, today this whole thing changes because now I told you about the assistant art director who said that it was just, but now the actual art director who put it together is apologizing, saying, yeah, maybe I should have realized that there is a very close resemblance between Feast of Dionysus and the Last Supper, and maybe I should have been more, in tune with that. But here's what I would say. That's bullshit, because why did the big fat drag queen at the center of the why did she have like what appeared to be like a halo? It appeared like a halo. And then Dionysus comes in. Then the blue guy comes in. For a split second, I think he was trying to be provocative. Satire. It's another one of the big things that the French are big on. Poking people, prodding people, trolling people. Mimes. The French are just pretending that the mimes are entertaining. The mimes aren't really even entertaining to the French. They just know how much mimes irritate everybody else. It's a long-form troll by the French. All right. What do we got? What do we got coming up on the Olympics? Anything good? I don't know. Let me know when the fast people are running. Let me know when it's just like, people running against each other. And not marathon. I don't want to watch no marathon bullshit. I don't care about marathon. We got breakdancing in the Olympics now. I mean, I'm cool with it. I guess the programmed response is this. Breakdancing in the Olympics? What is the world? Like, that's the programmed response. But me, I'm like, breakdancing in the Olympics? Cool. I actually know a little something about breakdancing, being an 80s kid. I'll watch that. I'm cool with that. Would you rather watch breakdancing or shot put? All right, here's a big, giant, 500-pound SpongeBob SquarePants-shaped weirdo from Eastern Europe. He's going to try and throw an 8-pound ball. I don't even know what a shot put is. I don't want to watch that. Who can throw the heavy thing furthest? That's some caveman bullshit. give me breakdancing and parkour. I don't know if parkour is a sport, but it's French, so why wouldn't it be? Hold on, guys. Got a weird thing going on. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Tracking along. Shmi says that the U.S. women's rugby plays England in the quarterfinal this afternoon. Is that something we're into? I'll check it out. I'll check it out on Gold Zone. Here's another thing. Although there's so much to choose from from the Peacock Olympic options. I made a mistake. I wasted 90 minutes of my life yesterday. I wanted to watch Simone Biles do her first team competition. We're in the team area, Team America versus Team China versus whatever. And I wanted to watch Simone Biles do the unevens, the vault, and her floor routine because I am a Simone Biles fan. I love her. What a doll she is. And her mom. Oh, can we talk about Simone Biles' mom? Putting Snoop Dogg in his place right there on national TV. We'll play that clip. That's coming up. So I wanted to watch Simone Biles. And so I'm on the Peacock, and there's like, I go to the gymnastics thing, and I go to events that have ended so that I could watch the replay. And I click on it, and I start watching it. And I'm watching Australia and Brazil do vault, floor exercise, and uneven bars. And I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, the Americans will be coming. And I go like the full 90 minutes, and I'm like, what, there's no American? Then I realized Peacock has like all these different, like I was watching Group A. I needed to be on Group B3. I don't know. I finally got to it. Got to watch Simone Biles. Peter says track and field start August 1st. All right. Al wants Mexican folklore dancing in the Olympics. Why? Because you're Mexican? Fine, Al. If you get that, then I get Irish step dancing. We're going to do river dancing in the Olympics. That'll be a thing. Who can use their arms the least? That's one of the things. That's why Irish people are upset with Michael Flatley's river dance. Because Michael Flatley took traditional Irish dancing and then changed the rules. The rules used to be couldn't use your hands. So when you see Irish step dancers, you got to keep your hands at your side. Not Michael Flatley. He's doing jazz hands. And although it was, like 80% Irish step dancing, there's still jazz hands. Old Irish people got mad at that. All right. What else do we have? Track and field starts August 1st. Smee says, what is Smee into? U.S. women's rugby. Smee is into, I am into it. Are we any good at this? Here's the other thing. I don't want to watch sports we're not good at. I watched some 4x100 qualifying swim thing the other day, and America, we lost. We came in like fourth. We came out of the medals or whatever for this specific event. And I thought we were good at swimming. I feel cheated. I just watched America lose. That's not why I'm picking and choosing the shit. I want to watch nothing but American victories. I don't need to see us come in fourth in the 4x100 butterfly or whatever the hell it was. So my question is, I'll watch American girls rugby if it's like we're good. Like, I don't want to find out that we suck at something. I'm an American. I am trying to find as much pride for my country right now. I don't need to watch us lose stuff. Like, what are we bad at? What are we bad at? Fencing. I watched a lot of fencing. I didn't see any American fencing. I watched a lot of fencing. I don't know what's going on there. That looks cool, though. The white uniforms. And then they're attached by a cord. Did you know this? What is this about? Like when two people are like fencing on guard. I don't know if they say that. Do they say it? They should. Like when they're fencing, ha, ha, ha. When they're like doing that, you notice on their backs, there's like a tether cord. Like, what is that about? I don't know. Anyway, we're in the Olympics. A time for learning. What is Adam talking about? She said she's never been below a 30 BMI in her life. I don't know what he's talking about. That's okay. We'll move on. I'm just riffing about my Olympic experience. All right, let's move on. We'll get into more Olympic stuff. There's more stories peppered here. Let's do this one. Hold on. Let me show you this. So, this was a big story over the weekend. Did you hear that Trump declared that there will be no more elections? Did you see this? Oh my God, this was going everywhere. I guess the question is, did Trump get on stage and say that after you elect him, he will do away with Olympics? Maybe that's that. No, don't do that. He would do away with elections, right? Oh, people went crazy. It's not what he said, people. I'm tired. Look, Trump is going to say enough things that are legitimately kind of jaw-dropping, right? This is not one of them. This is, for anybody who thinks that the left is always the victim of being taken out of context and all of that, this is a perfect example of how dirty and stupid the left can be. Every bit is getting down in the dirt, every bit as much as the right, which, as you know, I like to present myself as a political strategist, I would say is about time left. Get in there and mix it up. These people, there are no boundaries on the right. They will do whatever, they'll make whatever up. You need to stop being pussies, feckless, inept pussies who find some kind of glory in loss. Oh, we lost, but we lost properly. No, shut up. So let's play this. This is what Trump said that's got the left going nuts. Oh, he's just up on stage openly talking about getting rid of elections. Let's listen to what he said.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Okay. All right. So there's a second part of this that I find more interesting than that. But that is what he said that got the left going. Trump is openly talking about doing away with American elect. That's not what he's talking about. This context is important here. He is an inartful speaker. Okay. So I can't understand how somebody who is looking to sort of, promote the idea that he's now campaigning on the idea of changing the American electoral system. I understand how that might offer them an opportunity to do that, but that is not what he said. You're being disingenuous, and that's some bullshit. As I say, he's an inartful speaker. That's why people love him, because he's just like, blah, blah. He's that guy. Here's what he said there. Context being important. Before he said that, he talked about how Christians, who he is, by the way, he is speaking to a bunch of Christians. He was chastising Christians about how little they turn out to vote. The stats are there that say that Christians do not turn out to vote. He is pleading with Christians specifically who do not like to vote, according to the statistics that he just cited. He is pleading with, on this one occasion, please just come out and vote for me this time. That's what he's acting. That's what he's saying. And that's what he's asking for. And when he says, I'll fix it, what he's alluding to, at least this is how I take it, because I'm not a pearl-clutching snowflake. I take it as him saying, come on, Christians, I know you don't like to vote. You usually don't come out and vote. And even if you don't usually vote, please come out and vote this time, just this once for me. And then I'll be president and everything will be great. And you won't ever have to worry about coming out to vote again. If you don't want to vote, you can go back into your hole and never vote again. But I just need you to vote for me this one time. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying, don't worry, Christians, if you vote for me when I'm elected, I'll do away with all future elections. But that's what was extrapolated from his inartful conversation in a room full of Christians. That's nonsense. He wasn't saying he's doing away with elections. Now, he might want to. I mean, seriously, he might seriously in his darkest moments go, God, I'd love to be king. I'd love to be able to just fix these up. Maybe, whatever. But this is not proof of that. This is just him inartfully talking to a room full of Christians who do not traditionally come out and vote en masse, and he is asking them on this one occasion, please come out. I know you don't like to vote, but please come out and vote for me just this once, and I won't ask again, and you won't have to come out again. That's what he's saying. He's not talking about the grander idea of overturning the American election system, okay? There you go. But whatever. Get it trending, and people who don't actually listen to it in context or are just geared to hate him for whatever reason, now one of their new lines of attacks will be, he openly said he wanted to get rid of election. No, he didn't. Okay? No, he didn't. All right, now here's a second question that I have for you. This has been, woo, boy, oh boy, this has been taken off. It is everywhere, and it ain't going away because this is what people think. Did J.D. Vance fuck a couch cushion? All right. Now, you know me, I'm no big fan of J.D. Vance. I think that fucker's weird as hell. I've been saying that for months. He's a weirdo. This is the other interesting thing about that. So 2 weeks ago, or a week or so ago, whatever it was, the initial plan of attack for the Trump campaign against the emergence of Kamala Harris was that she was weird. That's what they were going to go with. She's weird. And to back this up, they have the coconut video and they have her laugh and they have all this stuff. So they went all in the first couple of days of going, she's weird. We're going to point out that she's weird, which is so interesting to me because I have known for a long time now that campaign, particularly MAGA in general, they love to engage in projection. So them calling her weird, and I don't know, is she weird? Probably. Seems a little weird to me. But it's not like J.D. Vance isn't, or that Donald Trump isn't. These people, like, you're calling her weird. I told you on the show, I said, that's going to backfire. And it has, because it's been completely turned around. And now the national narrative is that J.D. Vance is so fucking weird that he can't stay on this ticket and that Trump's going to have to make a change. J.D. Vance has been branded as weird. And it's after they tried to brand Kamala as weird. And interesting to me, Kamala is weird. J.D. Vance is really weird, though. There is so much weird stuff about him. But the big thing that you see everywhere is that he's being accused of having sex with the couch cushions in his grandmother's house. And everybody ran with this, even myself. I was like, oh, yeah. Why? Because it was presented to us in a lie. The way that we first learned of the J.D. Vance fucking his couch cushion was through a tweet that said that this piece of knowledge came directly from his book, Hillbilly Elegy. In the book, it said, in his book, Hillbilly Elegy, a teenage J.D. Vance, or he wrote that a teenage J.D. Vance would often masturbate into the couch cushions of his aunt's couch. From the book. That's how it was presented. And everybody went, well, it was in the book. You know why? Because we don't read. Ain't nobody read that fucking book. Hell, I didn't even watch the stupid movie. Nobody read that book, but they believe that it's possible. Well, I'm going with this because I want it to be true. Guess what? All a lie. There is no story in the book Hillbilly Elegy about J.D. Vance fucking couch cushions, but the left put it out. Propagated it, and now it's everywhere, and it ain't going away. He's the couch fucker. She's the childless cat lady, and he's the couch fucker. And she is neither childless or a cat lady, and he is not a couch fucker. But there you go. J.D. Vance did not write about fucking a couch in his grandmother's living room, despite what you see on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, or anywhere else. Just not true. It was made up out of whole cloth. And it took off, and now people, this is like, Catherine the Great. She didn't die having sex with a horse, but that story took off, and now everybody believes it. We talked about today, Mama Cass Elliott. She died on this day back in 1974. Everybody thinks she died choking on a ham sandwich. It's not true. She didn't die choking on a ham sandwich. J.D. Vance never fucked his couch. Promise you that. But he did, and this is the whole strange thing. Over the weekend, a whole bunch of emails and texts and pictures and stuff were released to the press from J.D. Vance's former best friend and roommate, who is a trans person, which is interesting, right? Because you think J.D. Vance, MAGA vice president, they're not exactly like, it's cool to have trans friends. J.D. Vance had a trans friend. And back when he was still anti-Trump, before he saw that there was an avenue to promote himself using the same methods that Trump used, before he went to that side, he was very strongly anti-Trump. And he used to exchange long-form texts and emails and pictures and jokes at Trump's expense with his trans former roommate. Now, this transformer roommate has since disavowed J.D. Vance and gone to the press and released all of these things. And we got pictures of J.D. Vance wearing communist T-shirts. We got stories about J.D. Hold on. What was that? Sorry. Oh, boy. I need to... I got a kid situation going on, so I have to check certain... Nothing bad. Not a bad kid situation, just a kid situation. Anyway, J.D. Vance has got a friend from his past who was coming out and saying, this guy, first of all, are you guys shocked that I'm his best friend? It's like, I was born with a dick. I don't know if you guys can tell. Or whatever it is. I don't even know if his friend. But there you go. J.D. Vance did not screw a couch So, the whole couch fucker thing that's made up out of whole cloth. What else do we have? He hates cops too. That's another one. He hates cops. Here's a cool story. All right, this came about over the weekend. We're gonna let's say, oh geez, come on, man. We're running out of time. I'm sorry. I got a meeting at 2:00 and we're running out of time here. Here, and we'll explain what's going on here. This is one of them nerd comic conventions. And I guess they're announcing the new, is there a Dr. Doom movie? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not a dork. I had girlfriends in high school, right? I wasn't into like comic books and stuff. Here you go. This happened over the weekend. Check this out. It's got the whole Marvel nerd universe all freaked out.
Then I think we're going to need the greatest actor in the world to play that character. Wow. Yeah, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as proof of the unimaginable possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe, we give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
All right. All right, you see what happened? All right, you see what happened here? Apparently, this is the Avengers universe. They're announcing the new Von Doom movie. Like I said, I don't know. But apparently there's a Dr. Von Doom, Dr. Doom or something. There's a character here. And they bring out all of these guys. They're all on stage. They're all wearing masks. They're all wearing robes and masks. And they circle out one. They say, this is the guy we've got playing. And they take off the mask and look, it's Robert Downey Jr. It's Tony Stark. Tony Stark, Iron Man from the other Marvel movies, is now being cast as another character, a completely unrelated character. Victor Von Doom. Now people are freaking out. How can this happen? What is this? Some multiverse thing? And I'm like, no, this is an acting thing. He's an actor. He's a bankable actor. And we all love him. He's going to be great. He probably is the best choice to play this because you can pick any role. And I might argue any role. I don't care what it is. And I might argue that Robert Downey Jr. is the best choice to play that character. This is awesome. I am more likely to see this movie now because it's Robert Downey Jr. And by the way, isn't he dead? Iron Man is dead, right? Tony Stark died. So any new Avengers movies, they wouldn't include him anyway. So why not just let him play another character? There you go. Robert Downey Jr. All the nerds are freaking out. That can't happen. It's a comic book, you dork. All right, hold on. What else do we got? Okay, so we're going to leave on this. I got to get out today. I'm sorry, folks. I know I promised to. Let me get out on this one. Let me show you this. I promised you that Snoop Dogg, who's become our national... What is he? He's our mascot now at these Olympics. Snoop Dogg was during the opening night coverage out there front and center for NBC. He's here with Hoda Kotb, which again, I don't know what her deal is. What are you, Hoda? Hoda Kotb? Where did you come from? What kind of name is? I got a lot of questions for Hoda Kotb. I don't know. Anyway, she's out there with Snoop, and this is Snoop talking with Simone Biles' family. Hoda Kotb is there with Simone Biles. Simone Biles did not participate. It was rumored last week that Simone Biles was going to carry the flag for Team America as the female. I think that went to Katie Ledecky. I think there was LeBron James holding one flag for Team America, but it was said that it was going to be Simone Biles. Turned out to be Katie Ledecky, and that's because apparently Simone Biles at the last moment decided that she was not going to be attending the ceremonies because of the rain and because she had a cold and because she had to perform, she had to compete early Sunday. So she didn't want to risk it. So she didn't show up. She's back at the hotel room, and Snoop Dogg and Hoda Kotb go out there and find Simone Biles' family. And again, Simone Biles' mom. This is her right here. This little lady right here. Simone Biles' mom is awesome. Not afraid of nothing. So here you go. This was Friday night, opening ceremonies coverage. Snoop Dogg and Simone Biles' mom.
It's a beautiful scene, Tarico. And guess where we are? We're at Team Biles right here. We got Nellie and Ron, Simone's mom and dad. And guys, how is Simone feeling as we're getting ready for the Olympics?
She is feeling really good.
Yeah.
Spoke to her this morning, and she's doing great.
Oh, of course she is. How she's feeling good about the events?
So far, yes, she is. And she's just in a really good place.
Is she happy that you guys are here with her?
She is happy that
I lost it. All right, never mind. I'm too rushed anyway. She basically, you had to watch. We're out of time. What was interesting about it was the nervous laughter and then how everybody moved on. And Snoop was left standing there like, damn, this bitch just told me that I housed her back 10 years ago. Whatever. Snoop was rude to Simone Biles and her mom 14 years ago in Times Square, dusted him for a picture, big-timed him for a picture, and Simone Biles' mom brought it back on global television. Good for her. Yeah, last time we met you, you completely blew us off. Apparently we weren't important. And then everybody laughs. Hoda changes the subject, and then Snoop just kind of leans back and is like, ain't that a bitch? This woman just completely burned me on national TV, global TV. All right, folks, we're out of here. That's it. That's going to be the show for today. I love you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Tip the show if you can. That's how we run on things every day, live from the E-Gallery here in the Dallas Design District. We do this show around 12 o'clock. Like, follow, subscribe, do all of that important stuff. Love you, Barney. Love you, Peter. Love you, April. Love you, Adam. Love you all. I got to go. I'm late for a meeting.